I just want to say one last thing on risks. I think there's definitely a risk element here, and there's also a racial element with that risk. So I've written a little bit around open carry and concealed carry. And I've got my concealed carry license here in Florida, as well as I've had it in other states. But I will tell you, I have not concealed carry in probably 4 to 5 years now. But it's that risk that Jason touched on. I'm more afraid of a police officer or a do-gooder shooting me because they might see, the back of a pistol on my shirt, or as I'm, reaching for my wallet, my shirt might flip up, or something like that, and miscommunication, whatever it might be, and I die because I have a weapon on me. So that risk that you're talking about, Jason, is not just the risk of owning a weapon; it's also the risk of carrying the weapon, and then that risk is different depending on what you look like.
And let's think about that in historical perspective, right? Because we know, I mean, there are two historical points that might be interesting to think about as we think about race in this conversation. One, of course, is the racial history of gun control. Long history in this country of white gun ownership. The Ku Klux Klan Night Riders were enforcing white gun ownership. What were called black codes, decades before that. After the Civil War, only the black veterans got disarmed. You name it, all the way back to pre-colonial America. Carrying a gun has been a mark of white privilege. Then in 1965, 66, 67, 68, Huey Newton and Stokely Carmichael and Rat Brown and other people started saying, Second Amendment applies to me also. And Malcolm X in that famous staged image of him standing by the window with the rifle. But basically what we're saying is the Constitution should apply to everybody. And at that moment, society was like, wait a minute, sorry about that. And that's when the Gun Control Act of 1968 came out. That was an act that had the support of the National Rifle Association, the American Medical Association. Sorry, Bobby. And any other association you can think of. And so there was a moment where when black men particularly started saying Second Amendment applies to me, all of a sudden people found gun control. That's the 1960s. A second moment I think that's important is when we started having open carry, particularly of long rifles. And all of a sudden, all these white freedom patriots started walking around Chipotle and, Target and stuff with their, don't ever carry a gun the way these guys were doing it. They clearly didn't know what they were doing, but they would carry their strapped long guns, walking around buying burritos and stuff. But the minute, black gun owners in places like Dallas would walk in, there's a case in a Walmart, actually, a lot of shit happens in Walmart, it seems like. But he walked in with a holstered gun and got tackled and shot. And there's a zillion examples of that gun owners who were black were seen as threats. And so there's this divide between the white patriot and the black criminal or thug or something like that, that just kind of leaves us at a particular crossroads. And so I guess the question really that is on my mind is this a different moment right now? Because we're going to let anybody and everybody buy and carry a gun. Is this a moment where we change the racial history of gun ownership?